Hey, you can do toy modding at any level. You can add some gold paint to Galvatron because he can pull it off. You can replace or... Yeah, I'm not dealing with that. Friggin' dinosaur. You can replace or repair an arm, or you can make it Fuchikoma that transforms into a Gundam. Okay. Whatever. The important thing is to have fun with it. Enjoy the video. Astrotrain is the best triple changer. Better than Springer, better than Blitzwing. Now the rest of them are good. Sandstorm looks great, and Blitzwing takes a tank, the last thing in the world that you try to fly, and turns it into a convincing plane. Yeah, mostly. But Astrotrain is so much cooler. He has the best name, and the best colors. Also, Astrotrain's alternate forms are by far the most ridiculous, and it is wonderful. He turns into a ground vehicle restricted to traveling on rails. A flying vehicle that can only really travel in space, and his mass shifting is only surpassed by Megatron and Soundwave. He's the perfect example of a 1980s Transformer, and I was enamored of him as soon as I saw the big purple weirdo. It wasn't until years later that I saw the original toy, and I was surprised at how small it was. And white. Over the years, more toys followed. Generations gave us a good entry, Siege did too. However, the bane of all triple changers was ever present, the sacrificial mode. Look at it this way. Let's say you start a video game and begin to make a new character. The 3 different skill stats can have a maximum of 5 points each, but the stingy game of toy design only gives you 9 points total, due to manufacturing costs and profit margins. This means you can have all 3 forms be mediocre, or you can have 1 really good form, 1 okay form, and 1 form that's just an injection molded nightmare. It was no surprise at all that the Astrotrain toys had either 1 bad mode or some details that I didn't care for, so I never got one. Then I saw what could happen with no consideration of costs when I took a look at the third-party version of Astrotrain called Fans Toys Thomas. So I knew this was possible, and I wanted something close to it, but something that also didn't prevent me from buying food for a month. Of all the Chug Skull Astrotrain toys that came out, it was the Siege version that had the best robot mode at a good size, though the alt forms were compromised. The shuttle just ends, kind of like Astrotrain started to transform and just to screw it halfway through. And the train, the back half is just not that. To be fair, the front half is a train, but it has a smaller train erupting out of the front of it, like a xenomorph with a chest burster coming out of it. It makes you wonder how this happened. Maybe Astrotrain was scanning a new form and somebody kicked him. Plus, there were all the Greeblies. I know that was the Siege style, but the detailing is just too much, especially after seeing the clean monolith that is Thomas. When they announced a Studio Series Astrotrain, I was excited to think, finally, an official toon-accurate figure. Then this guy came out. I decided to check eBay for the Siege version, but everyone else thought the same thing, so prices had spiked. Eventually, I did find one. Okay, he's seen some things. But making a new head for him isn't hard. I've replaced the heads on Transformers before. You just sculpt it, mold it, cast it, and paint it. But the bot form is still so busy looking, and the alt forms are still weird. Alright, so there's nothing for it but top-down modding every form. First, I have to get the body smoothed out. I have to cut away all the details that are raised the highest, then sand down the shallow greeblies. Next, fill in the crevices with something like epoxy sculpt or propoxy. You can order this kind of sculptable 2-part epoxy putty, or find versions of it in hardware stores. Finally, sand it down one more time. Now for the hard part. How am I going to fill in the gaps in the shuttle? It could be done in one big piece, but where would it go in the other modes? Maybe call it a shield, but I wanted to do something different. The solution turned out to be making 4 panels that wrap around the tail end. The 2 pieces on each side will link to each other so the 2 halves can fold up and fill the gap inside the calves. They will also form one large piece to make the roof of the train, or they could be a shield. Yeah, I'm using the shield idea to call it accessory storage and not just parts forming. Okay, it's parts forming. But come on, I'm not Takara. First, I'll use some cardboard to mock up the panels. I'm using a toaster oven to heat some plastic, set on a very low temperature mind you, and I made a metal buck to wrap the plastic around. Then I can cut another piece of plastic to glue to the panels and help them line up with the figure. Last, I need to make the pegs and the slots for it to attach to in each mode. Now, they're all ready for molding. Before that happens, I need to build something for the front of the train. The good thing about the tiny train popping out of the front is that it makes an excellent frame for a new part to wrap around, and the miniature smokestack acts as a good peg for said new part. This piece is some PVC pipe, the top of a spice jar, some more heated plastic, and the end of a Sharpie marker. A few small bits of epoxy sculpt make the bolts at the front, and all it needs now is a 5mm peg for Astrotrain to hold it. The smokestack will become a blaster of sorts in robot form. I already sculpted the head in clay and made a new blaster out of some wood and sheets of plastic. Using cups is a quick and easy way to make mother molds for small parts. I just have to choose the proper angle to place the parts so it doesn't fill the resin with air bubbles every time I try to cast it. You can get a decent platinum-based 2-part silicone rubber online very easily. You just mix and pour. Sadly, I don't have a vacuum chamber to draw the bubbles out of the silicone, but we'll make do. If you ever need to speed the curing process of silicone, it responds really well to heat. Next, open the mold, clean it, and start mixing some resin and get ready to pour. I finally finished casting all the pieces that I need. I wanted to match the color of the resin to the color of the figure. Problem is, not all pigments are exactly the same. This one has a little bit of a blue hint in it, which is a problem because Astrotrain himself is a warmer gray. To fix that, you have to use some other resin pigments to warm it up a little bit. Another issue is the resin itself. Some 2-part resins are clear and they remain clear throughout the entire process. So whatever color you make it, that's the color it stays. Other resins change as they set. They'll go from a clear liquid to a totally white opaque solid. Guess which one I have. This means the best you can do is keep track of how much pigment you add and just keep mixing it and trying it and guessing until it works. Yet another problem is the speed at which resin sets. It begins to kick as soon as you combine the 2 parts. You can mix the pigment to one part of the resin before you actually combine them, and that does help, but it can still kick so fast that it doesn't entirely mix, and you will get this odd spotty look like you see there. This means that I had to cast a few extra pieces to get the ones that I needed. A project like this can be measured in increments. First you have an idea and figure out if it's possible, then you begin only to find out that your plan won't entirely work, and you have to redesign it with a lot more work. I'm at the stage where you wonder if creativity is just an expression of madness. Now, it's time to paint. Well, it's time to spend 3 hours carefully covering 90% of a plastic robot in tape, and then spend 30 minutes painting. I'm using an airbrush with acrylic paints, then brushing in some details and finally spraying it with a rattle can clear coat. You can use a regular brush for all of this if you don't have an airbrush. Just make sure it's a fine bristle brush so it doesn't leave heavy paint lines. At long last, behold. This is the Astrotrain that I wanted. Sure, the pegs could fit a little bit more snugly, and it would have been nice to have a more elegant solution to storing the new parts, but overall I'm really happy with it. Putting so much work into a figure really makes you value it more, and you can make it closer to what you want than any stock toy is likely to be. Unless you're willing to sell your car. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll probably make a few more like this one since I've really been into toy modification lately. However, I also do a lot of prop making and sculpture, so if there's anything any of you would like to see, just let me know. So I guess till all are one. Well, if not one, till all are fewer. At least minus the baby Dinobots. I mean, what was the point of that?